Hey yo, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank and I'm with Jonathan.
Hey, y'all.
And today we're talking Picard, Episode 4, Absolute Candor. I really like that name. Jonathan, overall, what'd you think of the episode?
I really liked it. I love that they're changing, and not changing it up, but I mean, like they're not staying focused on one direction. It's kind of a diverse story, so it's definitely keeping me interested.
Yeah, we're finally on another planet, something different. These Romulan nuns that we got, this like new faction, I'm really excited for them. They seem pretty cool. This feels a little bit more Star Trek-y, which is cool.
I'm really happy that we're learning more about Romulan culture too, because they seem to be a big part in Starfleet's past, but we never really got a lot about them. They're always just kind of the mysterious enemy.
Well, and that's the thing is I've seen TNG here and there. I know more of TNG fans, like, they'll know it. And I think in Deep Space Nine, they're kind of a big deal too. And but I'm like, Voyager, yay, I know about the Kazon. So it's a whole different thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over our big 5 points here, our big 5 moments. First off, we have the flashback. We see planet Vashti. That's where this whole thing's going to be taking place. It's the Romulan relocation colony. Picard visits as like the admiral in charge of the project. So they're going to be moving people. Remember, Mars is kind of this, where they're destined to, right? They're all going to be moving to Mars. Is that what it was?
I don't remember. I think that was where the fleet was that was managing the relocation process.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes sense.
That's the Federation's hub for this assistance or emergency relief or whatever.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so Picard is sort of a celebrity when he gets there. Of course, he's a celebrity everywhere. He's Picard. And while he's here, this is actually where he finds out that Mars was attacked. And so, we kind of get an idea where the timeline is there. And we also meet a young Elnor. He's going to be our new crew member. He's an orphan that the nuns are taking care of. And he kind of feels like he doesn't have a male role model, and Picard's kind of filling in for that. I like that scene where they're fencing and they're practicing. What did you think of this scene?
I like it because it shows that Picard isn't just doing this for the fame and glory or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
He's falling in love with these innocent people that he's trying to help protect and not just protect the people, but their culture and their civilization. So it's good to see that he has that deep, close personal connection with at least a certain group of the Romulans.
Yeah. And it's called Absolute Candor, and that's one of the big things with these Romulans is that they only tell the truth. And so that kind of, I kind of like when you have something like that, like we hide our emotions of the Vulcans, and now we have Eleanor's going to be just like blunt and obvious the whole time. Kind of reminds you of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's just be like, he's not going around the bushes at all. He's just going to tell you the truth. So it's pretty cool.
That was teachings only of the Romulan nuns, right? Of this society of nuns.
Yeah, that's not like a regular Romulan thing. That's just of the nuns.
Because I think they did point out that that's kind of countercultural for the Romulans.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like Nemesis and stuff like that. I know that there was some lying going on. So next up we have so present day now. We're in current day. The crew is headed to Free Cloud, but Picard wants to stop off at Vashti first. Free Cloud is that kind of like casino city planet they're going to. They rebuilt the chateau in the holodeck. Did you notice that? What did you think of them doing that?
Yeah, at first I didn't realize that's what that was, but then he freezes the hologram. You see the bird stop and all that.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. It's I don't know. It's good to have familiar settings like that. I know we can't have amazing, beautiful sets for everything. So
yeah, it's definitely the cost-effective way of going. That's for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. I was saying before, like they obviously they probably bought a vineyard to be able to do all these big scenes on and stuff like that. So
yeah.
At that point, somebody's like, "Hey, we got to use this freaking vineyard more often. We're throwing barbecues over here and all kinds of stuff or something." I'm
imagining they like rented it for a week and they're just like film every scene possible at the vineyard. We can get this thing used up.
I'm gonna have my nephew's birthday here tomorrow, guys. Hurry up!
So in between like Picard scenes, they got bottle mitzvahs and stuff like that going on.
Right? Gotta utilize it.
Yeah. But it is very nice, and we know that in the future scene, and I was wondering like how this is going to work out. In the future scene, Riker and Deanna are there, so we know that they're going to use it again.
Yeah. And I think it's like just a more comfortable setting. Like at the end of the day, you return home, so that helps them kind of reset or feel more grounded. I think
it does, but it does kind of feel weird when the last episode, he was leaving the chateau and looked up to the stars. He says, like, this isn't really my place. I should be up there. So you're kind of like, okay, when you get up there, you make the chateau come with you. I don't know. It kind of feels a little weird that way,
What do you miss? You can't have two mistresses, bud. Either love Earth or love space.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think in the end, it's good for the show and stuff like that. I think season 2, maybe they'll change it up.
Yeah.
So we learned that Vashti has gone downhill after the Mars attacks, and now there's a warlord that has a bird of prey, an ancient bird of prey, really, that's kind of keeping everybody on lockdown. It's, there's racism on the planet and stuff like that. It's falling apart. Federation's it sounds like they turned a blind eye to the situation. The planet has a orbital defense grid and drones and everything like that, so they're defending for themselves. And the plan is just to have Picard go alone so they don't raise too many alarms. And he's going to go in by himself. This planet seems pretty cool. I liked the way it looked. It kind of had that. How would you describe this planet? Like the architect of the planet. Sort of these white buildings. They remind me of like Tunisia and stuff like that.
Yeah, kind of like old Spanish kind of.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
It was definitely a beautiful setting.
Yeah. Kind of Game of Thrones take on Dorne, which is Spain, but like that with a lot of grass almost growing through all the architecture was pretty cool. Or the trees, growing through the architecture is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looked really good.
I wonder where they filmed this at. Is that just a built set, or is that a small town they found to film?
That town. So what they could have done is they could have built the bottom layer of the town and then used CGI to make it go up, because there were shots where it felt like the town was going up a hill, but that could be done with CGI.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of any American cities that would have that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe something down in Mexico would have it. I'm not. Yeah, but it looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so the next big moment here, we have Picard arrives. He's again alone, and he reconnects with the Romulan nuns. These warrior nuns, right? So they actually train to a certain point into fighting styles and stuff like that. They are the enemies of the Romulan secret police, which we've seen as like the main bad guy here. The nuns ask Picard to take on the fully trained adult version of Elnor, because Elnor, he's a man, so he can't actually become one of the warrior nuns, but they still trained him in all the fighting styles, so he's still awesome.
Yeah.
And then Picard, so he's gonna go to this Elnor, and he's gonna try to have the his sword bonded to him, or to his cause. And he's explaining himself to Elnor, and Elnor just basically says like, "Oh, now you need me," and he walks away. Yeah. Do you blame Elnor for that? I kind of sympathize with him.
Not at all. Yeah, I feel bad for him, and it's a bad on both sides, because Picard didn't realize that he was in this situation. He bonded with the kid, really liked the kid, and then this attack on Mars and everything happened, and he didn't see another way to help the Romulans, so he had to pretty much was forced to retire, and so he lived in his chateau. He didn't realize that this kid was still stuck living with the nuns and didn't get raised by a proper family, because the head nun, I can't remember her name, told him, don't worry, we'll find some family to take care of him. We'll find a new home for him. And so Picard just kind of trusted, like, okay, they'll figure it out. And they weren't able to. So they just continued to raise him there. And he felt, betrayed and neglected by the only male role model that he had, who just kind of abandoned him. So, yeah, that was tough on both sides. But it was good that we got to see they kind of hashed it out a little bit. And I'm sure there'll be a little bit more surfacing later on in the future. But it's good to see them able to reconnect in that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of this theme that's been going on this whole time, and I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it, where it makes sense, but like Picard's feeling guilty because he feels like after the Mars attacks, he didn't like stay and fight for his position back, or become an advocate for the Romulans or anything like that. Like he just decided to retire and try to forget everything when there were people that are still needing him. In the pros column it's good story-wise and character development-wise, where you show like this celebrity level character has flaws, but in another way it's like, man, it's Picard though. You hate to think of him doing wrong, and you want him to just start thriving, and he's so it's kind of this weird spot. How do you feel like that's going? Yeah. What do you think about that?
So I think that's how we're being given it, but I don't think that he chose to not come back and save anybody. I think he was more or less stripped of his authority, because even when he went back to ask for a crew, they said, are you kidding me? Are you ridiculous coming here thinking that you can command another crew? So he was shamed by the Federation as soon as that Mars attack happened. So he was on no footing to call for troops or transports or anything like that to continue to help the Romulans. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I feel bad, and I feel that he feels all this guilt because he was the pioneer leading this rescue mission, and because of that attack that wasn't necessarily his fault, then he got pushed out of it and thrown to the side. So he kind of lost all power after that.
Yeah. It's he'll have to get past it. It's kind of, it sets him up against Starfleet in the end. So I think that's somewhere we haven't really explored much in the Star Trek universe. So I'm excited to see that. And Picard, if you're using Picard to do that, that's pretty big leverage. That's gonna be pretty big. And
we've seen little hints of the conspiracy in the background. So I think when the conspiracy of corruption in the Federation comes out, or in Starfleet, then I think that will help absolve his name in this whole thing, and it'll show that these people launched this attack to intentionally stop what was happening and remove Picard from the equation to make sure it wasn't revitalized or something like that.
Yeah. That's a common thing in TNG too, that the Starfleet, there's like a certain commander that's corrupt or something like that. So it's good that they're still carrying that across too. And that would be the reason to go against Starfleet in whole. Next on Vashti, we see that Picard, he's been denied by Elnor, but he goes to this restaurant and they have like a Romulan only sign. So he tears it off. He goes in, he sits down, he tries to have some food. They're ignoring him. The senator comes up and basically says like, "You've abandoned us," and initiates a duel with him. Mm-hmm. They're going to be fencing. I was kind of hoping to see Picard actually like bust out some good fencing, but I think Patrick Stewart can't. So we're there.
Yeah, we want to keep him around as long as possible, so let's not push him too much.
Yeah, exactly. But then Elnor shows up, tells the dude like, "Hey, don't do this fight, man. Get back." Guy, of course, doesn't agree with it, and he just slices his head off like, it was so clean. Yeah. Then Elnor's like, he's sworn to me, or I'm sworn to him, vice versa, and they're locked in. How do you think that scene was? To me, I kind of felt like it was a little bit tacked on, like they just needed a reason for Elnor to change his mind.
Yeah, it was a little fast, but I like the scene. I like how he showed off his skills right away. I like how he came in, he gave the guy an option. He said, "Do you want to choose to live or not?" And the guy, went forward to attack Picard. So then he kicks and cuts one guy or whatever, then just clean slice, takes his head off. Which was, it was a cool scene. But I did think it was a little bit rushed, not very well set up. But we needed to get there is what it was. So, they kind of pushed that one a little faster than it should have been, I think. But
because in doing this, what they had set up is in the future, we have Elnor, who now is bound to Picard, but yet there will be that growing thing where they're still trying to learn how to trust each other. Mm-hmm. You couldn't have that if Elnor didn't deny him at first. Yeah. So you had to get that, then have a reason for him to go. So it's kind of this wonky thing that in the end will pay off. So
and I like how it goes both ways, because Picard didn't expect him to kill that guy, and he even tells him as soon as they teleport to the ship that, "Hey, what did you do? Why did you kill him? That man didn't deserve to die." Yeah. And then he tells Elnor, if you're gonna bind your sword to my cause, then I will tell you when to attack and when to refrain. Pretty much that he can try to tame him and not increase the death toll or whatever in the process.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so we'll probably see that in the future too, where he's kind of like telling him how to fight and stuff like that in a different way. Because I'm sure that Warrior Nuns, if you have a title like the Warrior Nuns, you're pretty much balls to the wall. You're not going to be like holding back much.
Well, did you get what the requirement was for them to accept a cause?
Oh, I did. Yeah, So you want to go ahead and give that a shout out? What it was?
Yeah. I like how they kind of kept it hush hush or whatever, and then tell you at the end. But it's only a lost cause. It has to be a lost cause for them to meet the requirements for them to bind themselves to bind their sword to the cause. So I thought that's kind of cool, because it's like, if there's nobody else that can help, if there's no chance of success, if there's, this guy's going to go off and keep pushing until he dies and his cause will have failed, then, okay, that one's worthy. I'll choose to go with him. And if I die in pursuing his quest, so be it. But at least it has a chance now because I've attached myself to it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And I was like, man, if I were to create like a D&D character or something like that where I had to create a backstory, what a cool way to do it, That'd be really neat.
Yeah.
All right. So meanwhile, on the Borg cube, which again, this is kind of just like I don't even care about this story right now. It just kind of feels so, I don't know. It's such a divergent from, I want to see more of the Picard part. Soji continues to research the Romulan XBs, the one that actually recognized her. She questions, at some point, questions Narok on his real job. I think Narok actually told her the truth. Did he tell her the truth right there?
I don't remember. I don't remember what he said at that point.
Okay. Yeah, because he was telling her, like, yeah, I'm doing this, yeah, I'm doing that. I think he kind of gave her, like, a half-truth on that one. Which shows that he's starting to fall in love and might make some mistakes. I think we can all expect that to happen.
Yeah.
He's then going to show her what he calls a Borg ritual, which is basically them just sliding on the hallway in their socks. This was kind of just like, oh, hey, look at us, we're falling in love moment.
Yeah, that was just like a summer teenage movie episode or
it
scene. It
really
right
was, yeah.
That was cheesy. It was not necessary. I like you're saying, I think the Borg cube is a beautiful setting. But I think this whole story that they're playing on the side, this romance where he's trying to pull information out of her and then he's falling in love and stuff, this can be compressed down to a lot smaller of a story, I think, and elaborate somewhere else.
I almost wish it was just like one episode that happens to be on its own and we're like, oh, look at this, it's a Borg cube life. And then we just follow it for one episode and then we're done with it. Because it messes up the pacing, of these other episodes by doing this.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if you just cut to them a little bit less maybe and don't see... every little step, I don't know, because I know with the timeline they want to keep her kind of in idle on the side until they're ready to feed her into Picard's story.
Yeah.
But which, I mean, sounds like it's coming pretty soon. But yeah, this little kind of side story is not very amusing. Maybe if they made it more action packed, where she knows more than she's telling, and she's sneaking around the Borg cube and hiding, behind his back, and she knows that he's trying to get information out of her, so she's feeding false information or something cool like that would make it a lot more interesting. But this cutesy romance thing is just doesn't feel very Star Trek. It doesn't go good with the story, I think.
Best Star Trek love story, Jonathan. Here it is. It's Tom Paris and B'Elanna.
Oh yeah.
And the moment when they really fell in love is when they were both floating in space.
Yep. They thought they were gonna die. They're running out of oxygen, kind of insulting each other a little bit.
Yeah, but in that way that they always do.
Yeah.
That's how you do it right, guys.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me cry every time. I've seen it a million times.
Yeah. Later, we see Narek's sister approach him, which they have a real weird relationship, and questions his loyalty and says, and he's trying to say, like, oh, I'm trying to figure out who built her, like, basically get to the guys at Free Cloud and really see what's behind this. She kind of... Okay, so did you get that weird vibe? Like, is she too touchy-feely with him? Did you get that weird vibe, or was that just me?
So I get that, which I don't know if they're legit family. Maybe they just play that to entice the story. Like, maybe their characters aren't actually related for some reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But yeah, they're definitely... She's too hands-on. But I don't think I like her either. Either it's the character or the actress. But at that point when she, like... when she's grabbing his throat, he's acting pretty good, like he's being strangled, but she has to like re-grip twice. I'm like,
it's so funny
you totally
you brought
just
that
broke
up.
the scene.
Yeah.
Like, he's acting like he's being choked, and you're like, oops, my hand fell off your neck. Sorry, bud.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because that's exactly like on Saturday Night Live, that kind of thing happens all the time, but it's like everybody laughs at it, but there's nobody laughing, and it's just like, oops. I was like, it's so funny you brought that up. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. That's so weird.
It's just... that really bugged me about that scene. Like, you just kind of ruined that whole setup. So yeah, I don't really care for her or her story, so they can cut him out. Just get Soji on to the next step.
I know. I'm ready for Picard to get in there, save the day, and be done.
Yeah.
I think what's going to end up happening.
One way or the other. What was that?
Yeah, I think what's going to end up happening is like Soji and Narek will join Picard's crew, and they're going to be fighting Romulans. I think that's what we could expect.
Yeah, he's going to become a synth loyalist or whatever you call it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But back on the ship we care about, Picard. So we have Picard and Elnor back on the ship, and all of a sudden the Warlord, while they were on the thing, started attacking them. The Warlord with the Bird of Prey, which is the old school
Klingon ship.
I think it's Klingon ship, and it's fighting them and stuff like that. And now I didn't know. Did you see it go in cloak? Because that's kind of like the big thing the Bird of Prey can do. I didn't think it attacked from cloak.
No, I didn't. I don't know. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. I didn't see that. And usually that's kind of like one of my favorite things that they could do. But anyways, so they're in a full dogfight. And what's really making it hard is like, this is an ancient ship. So really they have the advantage on the ship. But now the planetary defenses are kicked in. So you got these red laser beams coming up from the planet and messing them up. Then another ship joins the fight. Out of nowhere, this little small fighter ship comes in, ends up saving them, but gets critically hit, and they're asking to be beamed aboard. Mm-hmm. They get beamed aboard, and I was hoping this was going to happen. It's 7 of 9, and she ends up like, you owe me a ship, passes out. And so,
yeah, I love that.
7 of 9. She's so like, great.
You owe me a ship, Picard, and collapses.
Yeah. So she looks like she's in that saying that's almost like a joke. So that's kind of, we got to imagine that 7 of 9 has been continuously developing, even past Voyager, right?
Oh, yeah.
So her personality is now probably fully human. And I want to actually go back and watch the episode with her mom and dad, because I kind of had a vibe of like, I think that's her dad's personality she's going to be trying to use, What did you think about the first 7 of 9 appearance?
I think it was too short. I want to see full unloaded episodes with her. I don't want it to feel shoehorned in, of course, but I'm ready for her to be a steady member of the cast. Yeah. But I mean, it was cool. It was an exciting way to introduce her. Of course, you want her to be front and center. I don't want to see her just kind of hanging out in the back of the bar or something. But being beamed in as the one that just saved the whole crew, and then had to be saved in return. But yeah, I think it was awesome. She looks awesome in her new getup and everything too. So
definitely outside the law. Yeah, it's not like it's a Starfleet uniform or something like that.
Yeah, I want to think she's more out there, like either fighting for injustice against synths or former Borg or something like that. But living more of a Han Solo kind of life in the Star Trek world, of course.
That'd be cool, yeah. Yeah, in my perfect scenario here, she's fighting to save the Borg and treat them like humans, because we see on the Borg cube that they don't treat them like humans. They're almost like farming, some of them, or they don't care. Like the Romulan ones get a little better treatment, but everybody else are like farming and they don't care about them. So I'd like to think that she's out there trying to save them as humans, or what I'm saying, like as people, and bring them back, kind of thing.
Yeah, like Captain Janeway did help them regain their humanity.
Exactly. Which actually that kind of brings up Soji's boss was a former Borg, and they kind of use a lot of promotional art with him. So I think he's going to become more important as the time goes on. That would be cool if he joins the crew. But yeah, he was a former Borg that's been back now, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And I want to say he's a little bit of a known actor. I've seen him before.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. That's good too. Of the next episode, it looks like they're going to infiltrate Free Cloud, and it's one of those things where they're going to dress up and kind of like, oh, we belong to the upper class that are here gambling. This also feels like it's going to be setting up a very Star Trek-esque episode. We've seen that 100 times where they like have to infiltrate a certain planet and pretend like they belong to the planet. Yeah. So that looks pretty cool. Any thoughts on what you've seen for the next episode?
I mean, I think it looks, like you're saying, I think it's like kind of a signature Star Trek thing to do. The story has to have offshoots. It can't just stay, on the same pace all the time. So it'd be cool to see a little bit different setting, a little bit different goal. I mean, they have to infiltrate this place, probably find Bruce Maddox, try to extract him from the planet and all that. So it'll be fun. I'm hoping it looks like it's going to be fun. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's going to be a fun one. We do see 7 of 9 dual-wielding her pistol, shooting at people, so I'm already on board for that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to get discovered about halfway through and have to shoot their way out. I'm excited. That sounds about right, yeah. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us. We will come back to you next week. Sorry for the delay on this one, Valentine's Day and whatnot, so that happens. But we'll be back tomorrow. We have a brand new episode coming out of the main podcast. It's a crossover with Ronan Geek Official Podcast. I was laughing the entire time. It's so crazy. It goes off the rails so fast. It's who would win in a fight for the most of the episode is that. And Alex, one of their guys, kept like making it to where like Batman and Iron Man lock eyes across the street and stuff like that. So every one of the fights end up that way. So it was pretty good. All right, guys. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye. Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Freaks Pod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All those links are in the description. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.